architect and CEO of SHELTA Space. SHELTA Space is a product design and development company. We operate on the principle of architecture as a product. So what we have done with SHELTA Space is that we have created a number of different models of prefabricated housing, and we provide this for a market that has long existed, but people did not know that it did. Instead of your typical architecture as a service where we do bespoke housing for people, SHELTA Space produces prefabricated modular housing that's meant for a market of people who just want to buy a house and move in. And the idea is that we are able to build very lightly on the earth, which is a very sustainable model. And so whether it's on the hill, in the middle of nowhere, or whether it's by the ocean or by a lake, it's really easy to deploy and put our structures together. So the idea of SHELTA Space is that we think of architecture as a product. So just as you can walk into a shop and buy a shirt that fits you, rather than go to a tailor or a dressmaker to make you a bespoke product, we are bringing a whole new idea of developing architecture to the system in the same manner, so that you can go to our website and order a house and have it delivered to you, just as you order a car. That's why we talk about the architecture as a product, as the concept behind what we do. So when we talk about sustainability, it's important to realize that the whole idea of modular housing and prefab housing is already a sustainable concept, in the sense that rather than have a whole team of people on a piece of land or at a site over several months building and bringing in and bringing products in and out, all of that embodied energy of transporting materials and all of that is taken out in the prefabrication process, because all of this is all done in a very controlled environment, and so there's very limited waste, and also the buildings sit very lightly on the earth. So sustainability is really at the heart of what it is that we do, the concept of modular housing and prefabrication. So very often when you hear modular prefab housing, the first thing that comes to people's minds is containers. But that's not what we do. What we do is basically wood frame structures, timber frame structures. We use an engineered timber frame for the main skeleton of the structure, and then we use our local wood from the timber markets to do all of our infilling and our paneling. Our modular structures are based on a 3.9 by 3.9 module, which means that we can always add them together to create bigger modules or subtract to create smaller modules. And so our smallest module is what we call a cabin. It's a 3.9 by 3.9 meter, basically about 15 square meters of space, which works as a studio apartment. It has a room with a transforming bed, what they call a Murphy bed. It has a small kitchenette and a bathroom. So just that you get together as a SHELTA cabin, which is what we call it. And we have a second model which we call the SHELTA camper, which is what we are sitting in right now. The SHELTA camper is made up of two of our modules, and when you put that together, you have a separate bedroom with a bathroom, a kitchenette and a living area. And depending on where you're positioning it, like at the beach for example, we have a beach deck, a beachfront deck. But it was in some other areas we may customize that to suit the specific area. And then we also have what we call the SHELTA family, which is made up of 3 of the modules. That consists of 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms. So you have 2 options within the SHELTA family concept, where you have either a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom, and that forms about 45 square meters of space, fully functioning 2-bedroom house. So for me as an architect, it became interesting for me to start coming up with projects that are very easy to handle, projects that can be well crafted, projects that you can literally build by yourself, and that's how we got into this. So we decided to do an experiment with an initial design that we had done, which was the SHELTA camper, and literally build it ourselves. And in the process, we learned so many lessons and decided that this would be something that the market would really love. So apart from our standard models, which are the first three I spoke about, we also do what we call custom models. Custom models basically are designs that we create as bespoke designs for specific people, specific clients, based on the same modular system. So we have one of these models which we call the camper custom, which we built as part of SHELTA Beach Box. That is a 3-bedroom unit. It's basically a double-decker, or if you like, a duplex of 2 campers, and that was based on the same modular system again as we built the previous ones. In that particular case, we had a client who wanted to be able to accommodate family and friends, so that it's possible for groups of people to come out to the beach and have some fun, for families to be able to come out to the beach, and parents to be able to have privacy while kids have their own independent space and all of that. And that can also be built on a piece of land as a regular household for most people. So with regards to SHELTA Beach Box, which is a development by the ocean, of course the ocean presents a lot of challenges, and we had to figure out ways to be able to deal with it. One of them is definitely corrosion, the fact that there's a lot of salt in the air, there's a lot of moisture in the air, and so we had to make sure that most of the materials that we are using, as much as possible, are non-corrosive. So mostly wood, which is our primary building material anyway. And then if we have to use any kind of steel, we make sure it's galvanized steel or stainless steel. But of course, there are certain things that over the years we know that we are going to have to be replacing from time to time, just simply because it's by the ocean. But we keep that to the barest minimum, and then to the materials that are not too expensive. But again, our structures are not only meant for the beach, and so if they're able to withstand the weather at the beach, they most probably be able to do even better elsewhere. So the good thing about the site that we chose for SHELTA Beach Box is that it's oriented north-south, which is the classic sustainability model if you want to build in the tropics. So we have our longest sides facing the south and north. We have our shortest sides facing the east and west, and we took advantage of the prevailing wind directions, so that we have full-length doors that also act as windows, triple slide. So it allows for cross ventilation, unless you necessarily want to have to be in an AC environment. You really can just open up all your doors and have a very cool breeze running through. So even though we are looking at a 30 square meter 1-bedroom house, it does not feel that small, because we, as much as possible, try to maximize the use of the spaces.